Okay, this is an advanced word for new learners of the Hebrew language. Repeat after me. Schach. Schach. It's like two ches and an S and an A in the middle. Schach. What on earth am I talking about? Hard to say, but without it, you can't build a sukkah. I need to build a sukkah. What do I need? At least 3 walls. What else? Schach. Watch your mouth. Greetings, hero. It is I, your friendly neighborhood rabbi, and I'm here today to talk about the sukkah, or sukkah, depending on how you pronounce your Hebrew. A sukkah is a kind of temporary dwelling that we build anew every year on the holiday of Sukkot. If that sounds familiar, the word Sukkot is the plural of the word sukkah. Also known as the Feast of Tabernacles, this is the tabernacle that we're talking about. This is many people's favorite holiday because it's the most sort of embodied. It's not just go sit someplace, pray, sing, think, eat a bunch before and after and during. But this holiday, you actually get out and build something, and then you take funny plants and you shake them around. It's the most action-packed with the most accessories, and even set building if you're into theater. I'm super into theater. Also, if there's one Jewish holiday that brings out the IKEA shopper in all of us, it's Sukkot. Because one of the mitzvahs of Sukkot is to build a sukkah. Actually, it's not so much a mitzvah to build a sukkah as it is to dwell in a sukkah, but you see why we need to build one. So today we're going to talk a little bit about how you build one and what to do once it's built. The tradition is that you should start building your sukkah immediately after Yom Kippur, but not before. The trick is, if you're waiting until after Yom Kippur, which is the 10th day of Tishrei, and Sukkot is the 15th day of Tishrei, that means you have 5 days to get this thing done. Even less if you oversleep from a break the fast hangover. The good news is, doesn't have to be that nice. The minimum requirements of a sukkah is that it has to have 3 walls. One of those walls can be like a partial wall even, just like enough that you can tell that it's a wall. And it has to have schach on top. Come again? Schach. Schach is what we call that stuff on top of a sukkah, and it makes a sukkah a sukkah. Can't have a sukkah without schach. Can't shake in the shack without the schach. Can't shake the salad in the shack without the schach. Try to say that one time fast. Several takes in this video. And the schach has to be made out of natural plant materials that are no longer connected to the ground. If you're in Los Angeles, people drive around Beverly Hills and places like that where the gardeners have trimmed palm trees and throw them in the trunk and take them, and that's what you use for the top. If you're in a place that doesn't have palm trees, you use other things, just like dead branches. It has to be detached from the plant that it came from. You can't have like ivy hanging off your house and do a comb over kind of job with it. And it has to be natural materials. Can't be metal or plastic or anything like that. You can have some metal up there to support the structure, but the majority of what's covering it has to be this stuff called schach. How much schach? I'm glad you asked. The idea is that the inside of the sukkah should be shaded, and that shading should come from the schach. There are a couple of implications of this. One is that a sukkah can't be built anywhere where there's something over it. Say, for example, I live in an apartment building with a balcony, and there is a balcony above my balcony. I can't build a sukkah on my balcony because the shade that comes through would be the shade of the balcony above, not the schach. This is why many people who live in apartments don't make their own sukkah until they live in a house or apartment that has exposed air. And to solve this problem and to keep the mitzvah of dwelling in the sukkah, they may go to a synagogue that has a communal sukkah for people. So if either you don't have the space this year or you don't feel comfortable in building it yourself, find a synagogue or another person you know who has a sukkah and celebrate with them. And you've still done the mitzvah of dwelling in the sukkah, even if it's not yours. But the idea is that the schach should cover it enough so that at least like 50% of the ground is shaded only by the schach, but not woven so tight that you can't see the stars through it. It should be a tenuous temporary dwelling, not like an impervious thatched roof log cabin. The walls need to be sturdy enough to withstand like a typical strong wind and not get blown over, but that's about it. So we build it between Yom Kippur and the beginning of Sukkot. We know how to build it, what to build it out of. What do we do in there? Everything! The mitzvah from the Torah again is to dwell in the sukkah. Well, what does dwell mean? The idea is that you should do everything in the sukkah for those 7 days that you would normally do in your house. At the very least, you should try to take all your meals in there. So it should be like big enough that you could sit in there and eat. Doesn't have to be super big, but just enough that, people can like take turns and eat. Ideally big enough that you could like host a small dinner party in there. That's the best. But if you can't do that, don't sweat it. So you eat in there if possible and weather permitting and safety of your neighborhood permitting. Try spending the night in there. Some people spend every night of the holiday in there. One of my teachers takes his favorite lazy boy easy chair and parks it in there along with a fridge and a television. I think I saw him on an episode of Pimp My Sukkah. The idea is that we're supposed to enact and remember in an embodied way the experience of our forebears who traveled across the wilderness with nothing but temporary shelter to dwell in. Not because we should make our lives hard because their lives were hard, but because we should learn for a week to trust in God the way they trusted in God. And that is being exposed to the elements to a certain extent. Another common explanation for this is that as a harvest festival, we are reenacting the harvest because if you had a big field and you were picking vegetables all day and you didn't have time to go back to your main dwelling because you had to pick late, then get up early and pick some more, farmers would build little huts, little tents to sleep in and stay in those because when it's time to harvest vegetables, you got to get them all out of the ground quick. I assume I'm not a farmer. So in today's video, we learn when to build a sukkah, how to build a sukkah, and what to do once it's built. In our next video, we're going to talk about the special mitzvah of hospitality during Sukkot. In this time of ingathering and harvest, we're supposed to share our bounty with our friends and our neighbors and our family and our loved ones. And there's even a tradition that by inviting people in, we are also symbolically inviting in these folks called the Ushpizim. That's a fun word to say. If you want to know what it means, tune into the next video. You will not be disappointed. Hero, thanks again for learning with me about the Sukkah, about the holiday of Sukkot, about all the holidays that we're learning about in the 31-day Fall Jewish Holiday Challenge. If you're not already a part of this challenge and you want to be, make sure you click on the first link in the show notes below or mash that festive autumn-colored square down there. You'll be able to join the challenge, download the holiday guide, get links to all the videos we've shared about the fall holidays. Until next time, Hero, peace. I assume I'm not a farmer. Schach.